Right, hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Hello everyone. Sorry about the delay. Essentially, I'll take a picture of it later on once we finish with this. But I've had to like sellotape a button onto the mouse so that I could talk without having to keep it pushed down. It's hilarious. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. First of all, first and foremost, let me thank every single one of you for coming here tonight. I appreciate that the timing isn't the greatest for anybody here. However, I think this is the only time where everybody, for the most part, no matter where you are in the world, can come and join us um, in this event. I feel like the time sort of I've had to edit it where I've thought of the fact that it's a Friday. For those of us in the GMT time zones, we're able to get a good night's sleep because we're doing this at 11 p.m., sort of 12 in the 12 in the night. Whereas those of us who live in the Americas have time to go to work, go to school, and then come back and join us still. And unfortunately, for those of us who live down under, it's 7 a.m. or 9 a.m., so it's early mornings. So apologies for them. Obviously, for the benefit of everyone, this has been recorded and this is going to be posted on both the Discord and the forums for everybody to enjoy it, even though they weren't able to make it to the live event. Like I was saying, thank you very much, guys, for coming and joining us. This is the first one, so there's obviously going to be a few mishaps here and there, but it's all a work in progress. It's obviously the first one that we're doing. Hopefully, it's the first of many. Yeah, let's begin. First of all, just to make you guys aware, I've made this channel into a push to talk channel. This is obviously because this is being recorded, and so if anyone happens to breathe loudly or if there's some background noise or something, is going to interrupt the recording, and I mean the experience for everyone who's listening to it afterwards. Once we finish with the introductions and the Bible reading and such, everybody, I'll invite everyone to come and sort of open up and have a chat about what you thought of the content and whether you enjoyed it and whether there's any criticism that you have for Winter, because I know that he's quite open to having feedback, constructive criticism, especially with regards to his work, so that he can make it better for everybody in the future. Um, First of all, obviously, I wanted to say the reason for doing this. We are a very small community. We are growing by the day, and we've now, we've had this Discord for, what is it, 4 or 5 days maybe, when we've grown up to 60 members. We're up to a few hundred members on the forums, and that number is steadily growing, and it's very heartening to see that is the case. I thought that with the Discord here, it gives everybody an opportunity to actually use their voice and to communicate, and it gives us a bit of community cohesion. And the best thing that we can do, I feel, because we can't have gatherings in real life, essentially, because there is so few of us, so far and few in between, and this gives us a nice place to sort of come together and discuss the work and sort of give ourselves tips to improve and to hopefully go towards ascension. Um, First of all, I'd like to give a few shout outs or a few mentions to people, um, just basically because I feel like everybody is a part of this community, and I don't feel like any work that people do, especially for the betterment of the community and to try to get people to socialise and interact together, that sort of work shouldn't go unnoticed. So first of all, I'd like to thank Aries for creating the Discord. Obviously, we've only had this for 4 or 5 days. Aries has taken the initiative kindly to create this Discord. As I'm sure many of you are aware, if you're part of the previous Discord, it was just a bunch of shambles, really. It's just a bunch of people with anime gifs saying ooh and talking about games and collaborations and what have you, rather than actually discussing the work. And embodying the actual cult for what it is, which is what we're all here today for, and what we've taken the time out of our day to come and be a part of. So, within the last 4 days, we've grown up to 60 cultists. It's really heartening to see that we've got this really strong community, albeit small, but again, it's all work in progress. We're working towards making this bigger. So thank you, Aries, for that. Again, we've had a number of new members join both on the forums and on the Discord. hopefully people get to hear this recording and won't get too agged off with me waffling on about everything. But hopefully, they go up to the shout out section. And so thank you everyone for joining. And furthermore, I'd like to do a few individual shout outs to people who've put some content into the community. As we all know, Cthulhu has an affinity for those among us who create. It's known in both the Bible and the works of H.P. Lovecraft that Cthulhu's especially communicative to those among us who are artists or poets or craftsmen, and as such, I believe that work especially deserves specific mention. So I'd like to thank first of all Brother Khabib for doing his wood burning. It's very beautiful. Brother Change's metal idol. I'm probably going to bosh this one, but Rawe Unsib's beautiful oil painting on the forum. Paxtonia's artwork. Evan Chan's cacography. Further, again, Estoria's artwork. I think it all should be on the forums. Thank you for Alexander sharing his taste in music and Fatal Zero's video game discussions. I feel like all of you guys taking the time out of your day to create and to post it on the forums, it does really help us. It gets us talking and it gets the community interacting with one another, and I think that's really important for us. Um, Obviously, with regards to the future, I've got intentions that hopefully this will be a longer going thing rather than just a one-off. I hope that this will become a weekly event where we get to sort of meet up with each other and discuss exactly what's been happening within the community over the last week. And hopefully this will be a weekly thing, so somebody will be able to keep tabs on exactly what's going on in the community and the bits that are being put into the community and the members that are joining, and we'll be able to discuss that so everybody is aware of exactly the work that goes on within the community and the time that people will take out to put into the community to contribute to it. I'd like to first of all just do a little preface to the Bible and the cult itself. I'd like to say, it's I think all of us have followed the calling in one way or another. Some of us simply have seen the website and read the things that Winter has put on there, and it's spoken to us in one way or another. Others among us have come here from third-party communities and then found this one and sort of identified with this one more than any other that they've been to previously. Um, I feel like this community it's got very great potential, especially with the small but very strong community that we have. I feel like if we keep working at it, that eventually this it will be a great big community, and we can all sort of hopefully rejoice in the work that has been put into it so far, especially Winter's Bible, and we're able to work on each other and strive towards ascension and help each other and others strive towards ascension. So I think ultimately that's the goal for everybody. Um, I know that the cult itself and the Bible has had a great impact on me, even though I've not been a part of the cult for that long, only 4 months. But reading the words have had a significant impact on me, and I know from being in the community, it's the same for others among us as well. And hopefully, we'll be able to have more of an effect. The more that we're familiarised with the work and the more that all of us grow, we'll be able to impart that knowledge onto others, and hopefully all of us will be able to grow together. Um, I've posted pictures for those of us obviously who don't have the Bible. That was a point that was brought up initially during when we talked about these meetings. I've posted in the public group for the Bible reading sessions. I've posted, I believe, 6 pictures, yeah, 6, 7 pages in there, and those are titled pages 93 to 97 of the cognitive dissonance section. And this is why we're all here. Obviously, if you've got your own Bible, I invite you all to open it up, turn it to page 93, and read along with us. If you haven't got your Bible, because you're younger and perhaps you don't want your parents to know that these are the views that you have, or perhaps money's an issue, or maybe you're still on the fence about whether you want to join this cult and sort of pursue this as a temporary or a long-term path. I feel like everybody should be able to have access to Winter's work, and I'm sure that he would agree with me in saying this, that we all essentially want to do our part to contribute towards the great work, and I feel like people having access to this work, whether by payment or otherwise, should be a privilege and a right for people. So I've posted those in there for all of you guys to have a look and join us. I've personally chosen cognitive dissonance because reading it, I had quite an interesting chuckle. I feel like all of us at one moment or another in our lives have suffered or faced cognitive dissonance. Um, it, Living in the society that we live in, it's very easy to hold two opposing thoughts, and it's like the chapter discusses as we'll get into reading it. It's very easy for us to become complacent in our society, and it's almost like we've been conditioned towards thinking like this is fine. Um, Obviously, I've faced cognitive dissonance, as I'm sure most of us have, growing up in families that are predominantly right hand religion, whereby we're conditioned to follow the Abrahamic gods or whatever gods that you may have been brought up with, and then thinking outside of that box and thinking, well, is that really the true religion? Is this what I want to be subscribed to for the rest of my life? Is this the right religion? Is there a God? Who knows? Is there one? Is there not? And as the Bible says, anybody who claims to know God is either a liar or a fool. Um, I feel like, so yeah, cognitive dissonance is is a very interesting subject, and I'm sure all of you will agree by the time that we finish reading this. Um, so I will begin reading shortly. If you guys are able to get your Bibles, open up to page 93, and in the meantime, those of you who haven't got a Bible, if you scroll over towards the Discord section, you can open up the images there. If you want to download them, feel free to. Okay, just confirm, are you guys still able to hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep,
Yes.
I can hear
Beautiful.
you.
Right,
Yeah.
so let's begin reading. Life allows for many different belief systems, but no matter what type of theism one rallies behind, ignorance of evidence, data, and science is no justification for belief, disbelief, or incredulity. To purposefully or even mistakenly be unaware of the scientific data that debunks or rallies your belief in your own error in this age can easily, or rallies your belief is your own error. In this age of easily accessed information, the fault lies with none but the lazy and the foolish. Even worse is to be so close-minded that the new data is not welcome. The denial of information that challenges one's worldview on the grounds that it must be wrong because of a preconceived belief is nothing more than idiotic. All new information must be analysed, critiqued, and put through the scientific method before a conclusion can be drawn. Clinging to a belief and being unshakable in its authenticity is a fault. No new thing can be understood or higher state of consciousness achieved with this mentality. An example is that of the Big Bang Theory. Before this theory, it was assumed that the universe has always existed and scientists and philosophers acted accordingly. Then a brilliant mind or two proposed the Big Bang Theory, and after sufficient scrutiny and peer review, it became a welcome and acceptable explanation for the origin of the universe. Likewise, should new data be presented, it will be put through the same scrutiny and peer review, and a reasonable conclusion will be drawn. It is with the same logic and reasoning that every area of life must be seen, for it is the best method that we have for understanding the nature of things. The contrast of this example is the devout Christian, who is absolutely sure that life started with Adam and Eve because of an ancient book written by desert people, and who clings to this irrational theory of the origin of man rather than hearing, analysing, scrutinising, and putting through the scientific method. their fairy tale and theory of evolution. Their own puritanical loyalty has rendered them ignorant and redundant to the progression forwards. They will be forgotten by history, the cultists or not. The last chapter looked at people who have single ideals in mind, either foolhardy conviction or scientific open-mindedness, but perhaps the most challenging thing of all is to hold two pieces of conflicting data within one's mind at a time. A prime example is saddeningly what happens every day across the globe in religious schools. Children vulnerable to persuasive adults and reliant on their elders' wisdom in order to navigate life are told, on one hand, that the world's consensus is that evolution is real, and then on the other hand, that God put two white people in the jungle, and that is how the whole human race began. A child can be raised from the cradle thinking that their God is perfection, but then it is confronted with a quote from the Bible demonstrating that their God is a vicious tyrant, and an extra layer of hurt is applied. The child must now hold both of these pieces of information in his or her head and be expected to function normally. Of course, many apostates find their freedom in exactly this manner. They are presented with a story or contradiction they were formerly unaware of, and after some googling, lose their faith entirely. The illusion has been shattered, the required dissonance too great for them to accept. For a child to hear one thing in science class and another in religious studies and be expected to hold both thoughts in their mind simultaneously causes what is known in the psychological field as cognitive dissonance. Holding two or more contradictory beliefs, ideals, morals, or virtues grants no favour for the individual. On the contrary, it causes both mental discomfort and psychological stress. It is ultimately tantamount to child abuse. It is likely that this disorder, if we are to call it that, afflicts more of society than we would expect. For example, people believe in a tribal Abrahamic God that also agree with David Attenborough's collection work, which is rich with evidence of evolution. People vote for politicians that repulse them. People care about and love animals, but support the massacre-like meat and food industry. People value being environmentally responsible, but buy expensive, fuel-guzzling cars and plastic bags instead of reusable ones, and say, well, it's best not to think about it too much. You may find yourself in this list, and I certainly do. Do not be discouraged. We are all guilty. It is hardly our fault. To err is to be human, or perhaps to be human is to err, and the system that we live in is a fertile breeding ground for cognitive dissonance. One might even say that it seems designed around it. The fact that cognitive dissonance infects every day at virtually every level. But we as a species have inner drive to keep our behaviors in harmony with our attitudes and avoid disharmony or dissonance. There are practices and rituals that the cultists can employ to conquer cognitive dissonance and ascend to a higher tier of awakening, but more on that later. For now, there is something even worse that we must look at, and it must be weeded out wherever found. It is a title borrowed respectfully from the outstanding author George Orwell, notably Animal Farm and 1984, with his ingenious word doublethink. Doublethink, as a noun, is the acceptance of contrary opinions or beliefs at the same time, especially as a result of political indoctrination. It is the welcoming of cognitive dissonance. Whilst cognitive dissonance is everywhere, even naturally, it causes a mental discomfort. After all, no one wants to be a hypocrite, especially to themselves. On the other hand, doublethink, whilst on the surface very similar to cognitive dissonance, is entirely different as the mental discomfort does not exist. Two contradictory thoughts are held at the same time and accepted with no problem whatsoever. A quote by George Orwell from 1984: "The power of holding two contradictory beliefs in one's mind simultaneously and accepting both of them, to tell deliberate lies whilst genuinely believing in them, to forget any fact that has become inconvenient, and then, when it becomes necessary again, to draw back from oblivion for just so long as it is needed, to deny the existence of objective reality, or while to take account of the reality which one denies. All this is indispensably necessary. Even using the word doublethink, it is necessary to exercise doublethink, for by using the word one admits that one is tampering with reality. By a fresh act of doublethink, one erases this knowledge, and so on indefinitely. With the lie always one leaps ahead of the truth." Does that sound familiar? I know it does to me, and Orwell gives us many examples of doublethink in this novel. War is peace, ignorance is strength, freedom is slavery. Life is run by fate, but you must exercise free will. There are countless examples of doublethink in everyday life too. You must fit in, yet you must stand out. Follow your dreams, but secure a well-paid job. Express yourself, but comfort to social norms. Uh, don't be a phony, but smile more so that people will like you. Act your age while you are only the age that you think you are. Don't lie, but also don't say anything that is rude. A public attorney who believes in justice will defend a known serial killer, and that serial killer will well in turn abhor the idea of criminals in a society. And these examples go on and on and on. In and of itself, this doesn't seem too dangerous, merely hypocritical, but doublethink is the reason for so many atrocities in this world. The entire Christian religion, and for that matter the Islamic religion, relies on it. When good things happen, it's God's will. When bad things happen, He works in mysterious ways. They believe that people should be treated with kindness, but the holy books discriminate against women and homosexuals alike. Islam's a religion of peace, but talk ill of them and you will be killed. A believer in the right hand path gods, with a conscience, experiences cognitive dissonance, while one without practices doublethink. Politicians are democratically elected leaders who are occasionally proven, or admit, to rig their own elections, but it doesn't matter because they have the right to do so as the people's democratically elected leaders. And the potential for abuse and immorality is compelling. I'm not racist, but I believe in human rights, but I'm a reasonable person, but there's no doubt that you have come across this type of person. And I know that all of us in our lives have sometimes been this person. The type of person that can say one thing and then immediately contradict themselves, then dart back to and fro with absolutely no qualms whatsoever. When two contradictory attitudes are allowed to be held at the same time and casually fitted between, we approach the dangerous saying of the end justify the means. And we're seeing this more and more today than ever. In every part of the world, in every race, nation, and creed, it's a tape that plays again and again and rewinds and starts again. At the grassroots level of every day, this provides fertile breeding ground for stupidity and sheepish attitudes. There's an astoundingly idiotic level of doublethink necessary for someone to tweet a picture of a one-use Starbucks cup from inside a fuel-guzzling four-wheel drive and then proudly state that they are saving the planet because it doesn't have a straw in it. There has to be a pushback to the rising menace that we see. Minimalizing these contradictions is hard but doable, and limiting this harmony will alleviate much of the psychological stress that stems from them, as long as one is willing to admit to it. There is no shame to be had in cognitive dissonance. Doublethink, on the other hand, must be watched for and guarded against, lest those people with such psychopathic tendencies should gain the upper hand on the reasonable masses. It's an increasingly hostile and fickle world. This knowledge is power, and once you're aware of it, you will start to see this conflict everywhere in every single crevice of society. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I specifically chose this one because I liked it very much, and I feel now after reading it, we're able to see a few similarities within it ourselves. I know personally I've faced cognitive dissonance. Sometimes I've even faced doublethink, and I think it's part of our responsibility as cultists to be open-minded. And the reason I like this chapter so much is because it makes us think about our own battles with cognitive dissonance. Living in our society makes it difficult. For example, you might want to buy items from Amazon because they're cheaper, without putting much thought into the effect. Without putting into thought the effect that supporting Amazon has on small businesses, or even the company's employees. And I know that I face this issue for a fact. The Bible states that there is no issue, and there is no shame in this. And that's because it is our responsibility as cultists to strive towards ascension, and part of that is recognizing these types of behaviors within ourselves, and it's our responsibility to negate these negative behaviors and to work towards improving ourselves so that one day we can be the perfect version of ourselves and that these thoughts won't be an issue anymore. And it's our responsibility to ensure that we don't stand idly by, and simply start making excuses for these behaviors. There's nobody in this world that will help you unless you help yourself, and it's your responsibility to help yourself. Um, and it's your responsibility to take the reins and control of your life to change yourself for the better. Now, with all of that being said, I open the floor up to all my brothers and sisters to discuss what you've heard today, your thoughts and opinions on what exactly what's been said today by me, but also what's been read in the Bible. Um, what you would like to see happen next week, what you thought went well, and what you thought didn't go well. Um, the floor is open for you guys. I'm now going to take a step back and let you guys discuss it amongst yourselves.
So I personally think that this was amazing, and that this causing it, and what the chapter was about is something I still struggle with, due to what like Sunday school and stuff I've been experiencing in the past. It is hard to overcome, but with uh, the brothers and sisters in the void, I believe it is doable. Um, I completely agree with it. And for next week, I'm thinking about doing um, the chapter about the right hand religions. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Thank you, Brother Change. Is there anybody else that would like to make any comments as to what was said today?
I think it's very important that we admit these mistakes and how much they've conflicted our society as a whole and our world for that matter. I remember as a child, I was forced to be in one of these right hand religions, but then on the other hand, it's like one side of my family tells me, believe in what you want, the other says, you have to believe in this. And as a child, I didn't know what to do. But finally, after growing a bit and maturing, I was able to decide I will believe what I want to believe, not what someone tells me to, and not because someone's telling me to. And I think that it's important that we all sort of come to this conclusion that these conflicting ideas have to be overcome and, well, solved and resolved.
I completely agree with you, Clean Up. Like, completely. That's one of the main reasons what brought me to the cult in the first place was me wanting to be me and thinking how I want to think and living the life how I choose to, not how my dad or anyone else.
The floor is open. Anybody
I
else? Darren, would you like to make a comment?
I I think for next week, just as a suggestion, I think it would be a cool idea for us to get like maybe like 2 or 3 passages with a brief overview of what they are, and then kind of put them in a poll, and then have us vote on which passage we'd like to be read.
I did say something like that before. I would like to do that I do when I host this next week. Because I'll be very curious on what people would want to listen to, and if they have any questions about a particular subject, I can go with the vast majority of it and help them with that.
Yeah, that's definitely something that can be done. We can post a forum thread with a poll on it, and then sort of take 2 or 3, like you said, and then have the community vote on which one they would prefer. Um, but personally, I think, Brother Change, what you were referring to, the right hand religion one, as we spoke about that previously, I think that's a very good one to be read next week. Again, guys, the floor is open. Is there anybody else that would like to comment on anything? Again, this is all about you guys. It's we're all here for the same reason. We're all here with the same shared beliefs, and the only way that we're going to improve is by receiving feedback on exactly what's taking place. So please don't be ashamed, don't be embarrassed. Please speak your mind.
I don't have any questions so far, I don't think. You guys?
My girlfriend did say that the Bible did share some of the same beliefs with her, which is kind of amazing because she's not that very much of a religious person. Granted, this wasn't about religion, but it was still with along the same lines of Lethal the Cult. So I have hope for her.
Yeah, and you see, the thing is, a lot of these thoughts are generally thought about by everybody. Everybody has this cognitive dissonance, everybody has this double thing, except that the society that we live in has conditioned us to think it's unacceptable to be in a left-hand religion, and especially the word cult. Everybody associates it with the Jonestown Massacre or Charles Manson or the Kool-Aid cults, but in reality, it really isn't. The community that we have here is essentially what universities should be. It should be an open space for everybody to be able to voice their opinions and have open discussions without people calling you racist, a bigot, and having safe spaces and what have you. It's this is what university should be. It should be an open floor for people to discuss ideas and ping them off each other. And if you disagree with anything, then you should have every single right to challenge what's being said and have the ability to change someone's mind.
Excellent point.
QMC Falls, have you got anything to say?
I was disconnected, so I missed some of it, so I don't know what to say.
From what you heard, though, what did you think about it?
It was good.
Good. Soka, I know if you can speak. What did you think about it? I think he might be AFK. Quachul.
Or he doesn't have. So, apologies.
No worries. Quachul Uteus, have you got anything to say? I know you're muted, but you can still type in the no mic section. Okay, no worries. Alicia, have you got anything that you'd like to comment? No, pardon. Quachul's typing in the Bible reading. Quachil Utaus. Okay, no worries. And finally, Alicia, have you got anything that you'd like to add?
Um, I just think sometimes it's easier to be a one sec.
No worries, take your time.
I think sometimes it's easier to just say you're doing something for example, for the environment, but you're going to do it tomorrow, and then you're not doing it tomorrow, and then you're just saying, "Hey, I'm doing something," and I'm not doing something at the moment. I just think you should, or I personally think I should.
That's alright, take your time. No rush. We're all here for each other. Take your time.
I think I should recognize more when I do this cognitive thing, and when I realize I'm doing that, then I can work, or then everyone can work on doing something now and not later.
I agree. From what I gathered, you said sometimes it's easier to be a bystander, and sometimes it's easier to just say that you're doing something rather than actually doing something. And that's an excellent point. A lot of people will do that. And again, you made another fantastic point after that.
Yeah, I meant it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Right, anybody else? Rather change?
Yeah, I got a little bit to add. So a little bit she was talking about was I had in my brain. God damn it, left. Dang it, I lost it. I'm sorry.
That's alright, it'll come back to you, I'm sure. Nobu, do you have anything to say? Beautiful, right? I mean, guys, the floor is still open. It's only been
I
about
actually,
40 minutes.
do have a one thing to add.
Go on.
I think it's important. What back to what Elise was saying about like noticing when you're doing it, taking self-awareness almost about like, okay, I'm kind of being double-sided here. I'm kind of at an impasse. And I think it's a good part of the work and getting closer to ascension to be like, okay, I shouldn't put off doing this. I shouldn't be like, oh, I'll worry about this next time, or oh, I'll do this tomorrow. I think it's good to be like, okay, I'm at an impasse. I need to be active on it. I should act on what I think, not what others tell me to think at this very moment.
That's an excellent point. Again, it's like I was saying earlier, it's only down to ourselves to take the reins of our own lives, and it's only down to ourselves to help ourselves. Again, no one will help you if you don't want to help yourself, and it's part of your responsibility as a cultist to ensure that you strive towards self-improvement. And I'm a massive fan in self-improvement. I think it's the most important thing that we can do. The worst thing that we can do, the biggest sin that we can do, and this is talked about in the Bible, it's the just the absolutely astounding odds of you existing in the first place and next to none. I mean, you're looking at billions odds. And on top of that, the odds of you having been born into a family in a country where you've got access to food and water and the internet, and then the odds of your family having enough money to be able to afford a computer for you, and then the odds of you finding the cult and then joining the cult, and everything, that the odds of you being where you are right now, just next to impossible. um and it's the biggest thing that you can do is sit here and say, I'm depressed because of this and this, and one of the most common causes of depression isn't chemical depression, it's societal depression. It's what you're surrounded by. People are depressed because they're surrounded by horrible people, because they're surrounded by horrible circumstances, and it's down to ourselves to be able to fix that. Nobody can fix it but you. If you're depressed because you're lonely, it's down for you to take the reins, and it's down for you to open yourself up and work on yourself, and then socialize with people. I personally, it's this personal to me, but after my breakup, I suffered with depression, and I suffered with loneliness and what have you, and for the most part of my life, I was always very recluse. I think especially since starting my new job, I've been able to come out of my shell because of the things that I'm subjected to on a daily basis, but also because I feel like I'm a lot more open. I'm able to now openly socialize, but I've had to push myself, and this has happened especially since reading the Bible, and reading the section of what are you currently, as opposed to what you want to be, what you want your ideal self to be. That brought me to tears, because looking at what I want to be as opposed to what I was, just even 4 months ago, it was a massive void, and it's personally down to you. And even in the last 4 months, I've reopened so many relationships with my old friends. I've made it a point to exercise 6 days a week. I've made it a point to read. I've made it a point to study. I've started taking up Latin. I've started taking up maths. On top of my full-time work, I've made it a point to at least once a week go out and socialize with someone, whether that be meeting up with a friend and going for drinks, or whether that be going out to a party or what have you. And within just 4 months, I've completely gone out of depression, and I'm happy now, for the first time in a very long time. And nobody did that but me. And this is what I mean, that you are in charge of your own destiny. You are the only person that will ever be able to help you. If you don't want to help yourself, nobody will be able to help you. And this is really important. And it's, again, like Alicia was saying, like you were saying, it is down to us to be able to challenge us. Now, again, guys, the floor is open. Please share, talk. We're here for each other.
We're all just intimidated by what you're saying because you sound so masterful saying it. It's amazing.
Well,
Thank
he
you.
is leading the meeting.
but again, guys, it's easy to look up to someone, but ultimately, the person that you want to be looking up to is yourself, and the person that you want to be looking up to is your future self. And again, if you have the Bible, I can't off the top of my head tell you where it is, but there's a section on self improvement. There's an entire chapter on self improvement, and that's definitely something that I'm going to cover at some point. Later on down the line, and one of these weeks where I'm hosting this meeting again, because we'll definitely be doing this again. But it's the biggest thing that I can stress for you guys is your own self improvement. Again, no one can take the reins of you but you. No one can help you but you, and you can start doing it today. The worst thing that you can do is stagnate. The biggest sin that you can do is to stagnate and to let yourself become stagnant. That the biggest sin that you can commit is not taking care of yourself, because there's only one of you, and there's only one of you. There's only ever going to be one of you, and you need to take care of yourself.
Also, that's one of the reasons what drew me to the cult was the self-improvement aspect of it, and what you're saying. Not only that there's one of you, the chance of you being here, you already said this, but just to reiterate, the fact that you are here at this moment in time is insurmountably amazing, and that it's part in the Bible too, who is saying that we should take dance in the light, celebrate it always. And that's something that everyone, not even just in the cult, but everyone in the world needs to do. And you are completely right with what you're saying.
I can agree with this because even before I thought cult, like years and years ago, I thought to myself, like at one point, like what are the odds of me being who I am, where I am, what I'm doing, and the place that I'm in, the family I was born into. That sort of odds of all of this coming together all at once is astronomically low, and finding the perfect community, aka the cult of Cthulhu, absolutely just like blew my mind. I was like, wow, finally a group of people who can relate and understand this knowledge.
Yeah, and guys, it all begins with you, and it all begins today. If you want to take the reins of your life, then there's nobody that's going to do it for you. You Even if you think of something, think of yourself now. Do this. Let's do this exercise. Everybody think of what you are now, and what you want to be, what your current self is, as opposed to what your ideal self is in this life. What do you want to do, and what do you want to have that you don't have now? And I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about I've got a big nose. I want my nose to be smaller. No, none of this. Circumstantial and um, vain shit. I'm talking about, internally, what do you want to do? What do you want to be that you're not currently? What would you like to achieve that you haven't achieved? And it's again, I'm quite big in saying this. It's not a race. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You don't learn the language in a single day. It takes years. You don't become physically perfectly fit in a day. It takes months. It takes years of dedication, of discipline, of practice, and it all begins with you today. Think of what you are currently as opposed to what you want to be. What ideally, and nobody's perfect. Of course, everybody always strives towards bettering themselves. Think about what you are currently and what you want to be, and then think about how can you improve the points that you're low on, and how can you get them to be higher. And immediately, that's not going to change. But if you keep working at it one step at a time, every single day, if you've got your inner discipline, um, you can do it, guys. It's all down to you, and it all begins with you, and it begins today. If you want to change your life for the better, it all begins with you. You can take the reins. You can do it now. There's no better time than there is now. And I want to quote Shia LaBeouf and just saying, just do it. Yesterday you said today, so just do it.
Wow, that was like I was in the zone there for a second, and then just do it, and I started laughing like a nut job.
Don't let your dreams be dreams. Just do it.
There you go. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Those are words to live by. Yesterday you said today. Those are words to live by. Just do it. Anyway, guys, the floor's still open. Please, feel free to bring up any points that you have.
Oh, I actually do have a question slash suggestion. Was there a forum post about this meeting by chance? I haven't looked on the forums in the past few.
Yes, there was. It was in the Bible of Cthulhu section.
Oh, okay, then never mind. My suggestion was to make a forum post about the Bible readings, but knowing that there was one, my suggestion is now, well,
Yeah, I'll I think I'll link it to the Discord. Um, yeah. But, so obviously, guys, like I said, this is going to be a weekly thing. Obviously, not all of us will be able to join every week, because of circumstances and what have you. Again, I think I've mentioned this a few times. I'm a shift worker. I work, on a rota that basically covers 7 days a week and it covers 24 hours a day because of the job that I do. And I do tend to work nights on Fridays and Saturdays, which means that I sometimes I won't be able to do it. And one of these days is unfortunately next week. I'm working both Friday and Saturday, and I won't be able to attend or host a meeting. I think Brother Change has volunteered and has also been volunteered by members of the community to host the next meeting. We'll arrange for that to happen. I think obviously with the times, I don't think we can do much to change the times of the meetings and the days either. To be honest, obviously I've mentioned all of the reasons behind why the times are what they are and why the days are what they are, and it makes perfect sense when you look at it. It's just a case of sort of between you guys of deciding whether you want to do it on a Friday or a Saturday, really, and that's sort of the variable that we can choose to do every week. Um, so yeah, we'll look into that at some point later on, and I'll make a post about it. Obviously, I've been recording everything. I'm still recording it, and it's quite a lengthy recording. Um, but yeah, it's going to be good for the people who weren't able to make it to listen to it.
Yeah, brother D, you're
oh,
making really big fail.
speaking of which, the recording. I know I've mentioned this before, but I'm an editor, audio and visual for the most part. It's my aspirations, what I want to do. So if you want, I can take the recording, tweak it a bit, make sure the audio is a little, cleaner and whatnot. And if you'd like me to do that, I'd be happy to do so.
Beautiful. Thank you for the suggestion and the offer. Brother Change, you were saying
Um,
something earlier.
yeah, you're really leaving out some really big shoes to fill for next week. A little bit
I
intimidated, but it's gonna be a fun challenge.
You are
I
doing quite
believe
a
in you.
good job. I'll give.
Thank you very much, guys. Again, we're all here for each other. There's no need for pride and there's no need for egos or anything. We're all here for each other. We're all here to support each other, and I'm more than happy to be part of this community. As are you guys. Again, we're here for each other. Yeah. So yeah, it was my pleasure to host this. Thank you very much, guys, for attending. Obviously, I couldn't have done this without you, and it's very heartening to see that we've had an audience of what is it now, 10 people or yeah, 10 people now.
Right?
So it's perfect numbers. It's great to be speaking in front of relatively big audience. Again, it's been a challenge to try to sort of host it. It's I've had to I've never been part of a Bible group, let alone hosted one. I feel like I've just talked a bit too much, maybe. So maybe that's a point of looking into
Well,
for next
you
time.
are the leader. I think it's kind of in your right as the meeting leader to keep the talking going. So I don't think it's too much.
Oh, thank you. Um,
That does bring me up a question for the group. Is there anything do you think we could have improved on with this? For like next time when I can do better or do something different to make it more not enjoyable because this is extremely enjoyable. I'm having a great time. But anything just to make it better.
No, I think this is really nice.
Thank you. Right, guys, on that note, again, thank you very much for coming. I think on that note, I'll conclude this week's meeting. Took us a little bit under an hour. I feel like that's perfectly reasonable. Yeah, just to have a chat and sort of, do a reading, discuss the reading, and talk about bits and bobs from the community. I reckon next week's is probably going to take a little bit less, just on the basis of like the teething issues and the discussions for sort of why everything's being done. So hopefully that might cut out a few minutes. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing the meeting next week. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for coming. Couldn't have done it without you. So thank you.
Thank you for hosting one. It's been a blast.
Agreed. That was a lot of fun, honestly, and very enjoyable.
Beautiful. Thank you, guys.